When you decide to lift your arm, you feel like you are in charge. Your brain sends a signal, your muscle responds, and you lift. But the real decision is not happening in your brain. It is happening at the molecular level, inside your muscle, and it is chemistry, not willpower. Here is what actually happens when you move. A nerve ending sits against the muscle like a hand touching a door. When you move, that nerve sends a tiny burst of electricity. The electricity triggers the nerve to dump molecules called acetylcholine across the gap. Acetylcholine grabs hold of receptors on the muscle like a key in a lock. That grabbing sends electricity into the muscle fiber itself. So far, nothing chemical has touched the filaments yet. We are still at the door. But inside the muscle is a storage sac called the sarcoplasmic reticulum, packed with calcium ions. The signal reaches that sac, and the sac opens. Calcium floods the compartment where the filaments wait. On the thin filament sits a protein called troponin. It is the gatekeeper. Troponin is sleeping, minding its business, not letting anyone through. Then calcium touches troponin, and troponin wakes up. Troponin is not just waking, it is changing shape. And as troponin changes, it pushes its neighbor, tropomyosin, out of the way. Tropomyosin had been covering the spots where myosin grabs on. Now those spots are naked. Calcium unlocked the door. Chemistry is taking over now. Myosin heads, sitting on the thick filament next to actin, sense the opening. They grab the exposed binding sites on actin, then myosin pulls. It is called the power stroke, and it is not gentle. The actin filament slides toward the center. The sarcomere gets shorter. This is not electricity anymore. This is two proteins ratcheting against each other, like gears. But myosin cannot let go. It is stuck to actin like a clamp. Then a molecule called ATP bumps into the myosin head. ATP has one job: break the clamp. And it does. Myosin lets go. The actin stays shortened. If that was the end, you would stay contracted forever. But ATP does something else first. ATP breaks apart into ADP and phosphate, and all that chemical energy goes into pulling the myosin head backward, like cocking a gun. Myosin is now cocked and ready. It finds a new binding site on actin, a little further down the filament, and grabs again. Power stroke again. Actin slides again. The sarcomere gets shorter again. The cycle repeats over and over as long as calcium and ATP are present. Each stroke pulls the filament inward by a few nanometers, 10,000 strokes per second in a contracting muscle. But eventually, calcium levels drop, or ATP runs out. When calcium drops, troponin lets go. Troponin relaxes and it drops tropomyosin back over the binding sites. Myosin cannot grab where there is no opening. The muscle stops pulling. Actin stays slack, and muscle relaxation happens. That is how one motor unit works. Your muscle has thousands of them. Each fiber contracts or relaxes independently, allowing you to control force precisely. Want to barely lift your arm? A few fibers contract. Want to throw a punch? Most fibers contract at once. So when you decide to move, you are not willing your muscles. You are setting off a chemical chain. Willpower is the decision. Chemistry is the execution. They are not the same thing. This chain is not a theory. Scientists have watched it happen under electron microscopes. They have measured the force each myosin head pulls with, tracked calcium release timing, and timed the power stroke itself. The same mechanism runs in your leg muscles, your heart, even your face when you smile. One mechanism. Infinite expressions. Your heart uses the exact same calcium, troponin, actin, myosin system to beat 70 times per minute without you thinking about it. Your diaphragm does it to breathe. Same system, different job. Contraction is not a feature of special muscles. It is a feature of muscle itself. When this system breaks, you feel it immediately. Myasthenia gravis breaks the connection at the neuromuscular junction. Muscular dystrophy damages the actin-myosin link itself. The mechanism is so specific that a single broken gene can jam the entire system. Even without disease, your muscles fatigue because ATP production slows and calcium handling weakens with age. Training changes the equation by making your mitochondria produce more ATP. Fast-twitch fibers cycle through contraction rapidly but tire quickly. Slow-twitch fibers cycle slowly but can sustain for hours. But the core mechanism is identical. Calcium, troponin, actin, myosin, ATP. The same in every fiber type. Strength is not just about willpower. It is partly about how many myosin heads your muscle cells pack into their filaments. That number can increase, lift heavy things, damage the fibers, and your body rebuilds them thicker with more myosin. Hormones like testosterone amplify that rebuilding process, which is why hormonal levels affect muscle size. Your muscles are not static. They are constantly being broken down and rebuilt based on what you ask them to do. Stop using a muscle, and the myosin heads and mitochondria disappear. They are not needed, so your body dismantles them. But start using it again, and the machinery rebuilds, sometimes faster than it was lost. That feedback loop between what you do and what your muscles become is the entire basis of training. Your willpower does not lift the weight. Your myosin heads do. Your willpower just asks them to. When you push muscles to their limit, calcium and ATP get depleted simultaneously, and lactic acid builds up. That is the burn you feel, not permanent damage, chemical fatigue. It passes in minutes. The soreness that hits the next day is different. It is microtrauma that triggers inflammation. Even pain is just chemistry. Even growth is just chemistry. Even the will to move is just electrochemistry. Artificial hormones can shorten the adaptation cycle by amplifying the rebuild signal. But the body still has to do the actual work of rebuilding, and shortening the timeline comes with costs. All of this depends on one thing: oxygen delivered by blood flowing through capillaries around each fiber. Cut off oxygen, and the machinery stalls within seconds. Restore it, and the machinery restarts. That is why holding a muscle contraction without moving gets painful so fast. You are squeezing your own blood supply. Release the contraction, blood rushes back in, oxygen floods the fiber, and the pain drops instantly. Endurance training increases capillary density around muscle fibers, so oxygen delivery improves and fatigue takes longer. Strength training and endurance training do completely different things to this system. Different triggers, different adaptations, same core machinery. Variation in training is why periodized programs work. Different stimuli, different adaptations, preventing plateaus. Nutrition is not separate from this. Amino acids are the raw material for rebuilding myosin and actin. Calories are the energy to rebuild. Without enough calories, your body cannot rebuild the machinery even if you provide the stimulus. Every aspect of fitness comes back to this one system. Oxygen, nutrients, stimulus, adaptation, repeat. From your 20s onward, myosin production gradually slows, even with good training. By 70, most sedentary people have lost half their muscle mass. It is called sarcopenia. Consistent training slows that decline dramatically, sometimes by decades. You cannot stop this system. It is core to being alive, but you can tune it. This video is educational and explains the science. It is not medical advice. Talk to a doctor about changes to your exercise or diet. Now you know what is actually happening inside your muscle when you move. Next, what happens when you are not moving? How does a resting muscle stay on standby and not randomly contract? The body is not magic. It is chemistry doing its job, reliable and boring and endlessly useful, and that is how your muscles actually contract.